Hey guys, Kevin here. Wanted to show you guys something new that I just picked up. It's called the REI Passage 1 3-season backpacking tent. They say the pack weight is like 4 pounds. By the way, I'm not a reviewer. I just wanted to, I know that some of you might be interested in buying this tent, so I wanted to show it to you guys. And I thought tonight would be the perfect time to show it to you because we have a hurricane coming through. Isaias, I think is how you say it. I don't know. Yeah, so they're supposed to dump like 4 inches of rain, high winds, 30 to 40 mile an hour winds. So what better time than to take your brand new tent and stick it out in the weather and see how it does. So I'm going to set this thing up behind me. One thing I will say is that when you buy this thing, it doesn't come with enough stakes for all the guy out points. It gives you enough stakes to stake down the tent body, but not the rest of the tent. So you'll have to buy 4 more. The other thing you can do with this tent is that you can set up just a rain fly with the ground sheet and leave the tent body at home, and then you can save a little bit of weight that way if you want to do that. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I like keeping the bugs off of me if I can. If I'm gonna have a tent, yeah, bugs. I don't want the bugs crawling all over me. So. So I do like this feature, these little guy line tensioners that come with it. I do know a lot of knots, and knots are great, and knots are something that are very important and you should know. But I don't know about you guys, but I've shown up at camp when it's been pouring rain and you're cold and you got to get in and out of the weather and you got to do it now. You don't want to be fiddling with knots. I do like these guy line tensioners for that reason. The other reason I like this tent is the color. I don't like sticking out. I don't like having a bright blue or yellow or orange tent. Sometimes I don't want everybody to know where I am. Or sometimes I like just to blend in with the environment. I don't know, it's just me. But this model year, 2020, it comes in this olive drab kind of color. I love it. The other thing it also has is a little extra piece of aluminum. So if you bust a pole, a little bit of Gorilla Tape around this thing, and you're good to go. So that's nice that they add that in there for you. So it's got a vestibule, enough to hold a pack. Again, this is just a one-man tent, so it's not really big. Just for size reference, I'm about 5'8", so there's plenty of room for me to sit up in there. The inside space is 3 feet wide by 7'4", and it's about 40 inches tall. So I do like that. I do like being able to sit up, especially if you have to be stuck in here for a few hours or maybe even a day to, you know, wait out some bad weather. It's nice to have a little bit more wiggle room. There is, like I said, the vestibule here, and there's a small vestibule on the other side. So I'll show you what it looks like inside. Great big door to get in and out of. I like that. It's got these quick toggles so you can hold the door back like most tents have. But they're quick, they're easy. So I'll show you as I said again, I'm 5'8", so I'll have plenty of room in this thing, but as you can see, my head is against one end. And I don't know if you can see my feet, but I've got at least a couple feet. I would say if you were 6 foot tall, you'd have more than enough room. I have had my dog in this thing earlier just to see if he would fit, because sometimes I bring my dog with me, so it's good enough for me and my dog. I will show you inside. Tell you a couple things I like about it, a couple things I don't like about it. One thing I do like is this little pocket on the side. Great for a headlamp, keys, glasses, you know, whatever you need. But it's semi-transparent, as you can see. And the neat thing about that is at night, when you put your headlamp in there, it kind of gives off this cool glow in the tent, this soft glow, and almost lights everything up. So I do like that feature. Bug net, it's only about halfway down, which can be good, can be bad. Kind of limits your breathability a little bit, unfortunately. I don't like that. Up on the very peak, I don't know if you can see it, they do have a little tiny tab right here. You can see it. It's pretty small. Right there. Little tab to hang a flashlight or a little gear loft. There are gear loft tabs here, so you can purchase a gear loft to hang some other things if you need to. Another thing I don't really care for about this is, I don't know if you can kind of see through the fabric, that little dot right there. Well, what that is I'll show you on the other side, but it's a little toggle that pulls this tent out further, which in theory sounds good, right? You pull this out and you have more room, but when you do that, if I can show you here, you know, from this side, when you do that and you push this out, it kind of, what it does is it makes the inside of the tent kind of funny. It pulls the floor up off the ground. So I don't like that. I kind of like this nice square edge here. So I'll show you outside. Right under here, yeah, there's this little toggle. And this little toggle mounts to here. And then this pulls, but it pulls the bottom of this out kind of funny. So I don't attach that thing. I just kind of let it dangle there. But the idea is that will give you a little more interior space. So as you can see, the tent guys out pretty tight. There isn't a lot of loose, flappy material anywhere. The only thing I'm concerned with is that this big wide expanse on the backside of the tent, it's almost vertical. So I'm wondering how the wind is going to react if it comes from this direction, hitting that tent. As you can see, I'm in the wide open, so it's going to get bombarded with wind and rain. There's going to be no protection from trees or anything else. So I'll be curious to see how well it does. It is staked out pretty tight, and it just looks good. I like the way it looks. So, but looks aren't everything, right? So the other thing this tent offers is a vent in the roof. And it's got the little post to hold it open, which is nice. The only thing I don't like about it is it's awful high. I wish that this vent was down here. I don't know if I'd trust it wide open in a hurricane storm like the one that's coming. But heat of the day, late rain, it is a pretty good, it's got a pretty good roof on it. I'll show you. You know, it's got a ways to go to get back there. You know, so the rain probably won't get up in there. You know, but I haven't tested it yet to find out. But it does have a vent in the peak. So this is that little mini vestibule I was talking about in the back of the tent. It is very deep. Probably only runs back there to the tent maybe 8 inches or so. But I do like it for the fact that it'll keep the runoff away from the tent. You know, 8 inches is better than 0 inches. And the fact that the rain fly is, I don't know, 6 inches off the ground, any kind of runoff you can keep away from the tent, to me, just makes sense. Hurricane Isaias, I can't say it, but it's supposed to be a direct hit over Vermont tonight, or tomorrow, into tomorrow night. So we'll see how it does. Once the storm's over, I'll get inside, I'll look at the floor, see if it's full of water, if there's a bathtub in there, or if it's bone dry. I expect it might leak a little bit. I don't know, like I said, the rain fly doesn't go all the way down to the ground. You know, it's up a little bit. Can be good and bad. It does add a little bit of airflow. I do like that about it. A lot of tents I've been in the past, if the rain fly is right tight to the ground, you might as well be sleeping outside because the condensation just builds so much because there's no airflow. So we'll see how it goes. So as you can see, the storm has started and the tent looks like it's doing pretty well. Everything's beading up really well. The higher wind is supposed to be tonight, but things are looking pretty good so far. Doesn't look like any of the waterproofing is wearing off anywhere. But time will tell. I'll get back with you later on. So as you can see, it's starting to rain a little bit harder. Wind is starting to pick up. But our tent is doing pretty well. Still beading water. Hasn't budged, not even moving. So those 6 guy out points are doing their job. So it's been a few hours now. Rain's really coming down. The eye of the storm is just about over us. I'm still hoping for some really high wind. We've had a few gusts, but nothing major yet. I'm under my porch. I conveniently set the tent up where I could see it from a dry spot. Seems to be doing really well still. Feeding up water. You can see it sheeting off, no problem. If we get some more high wind, I'll try to get a few shots of that and we'll see how it's doing. So it's been about an hour. Now the rain is really coming down, almost in sheets. You can see it coming off the tent. Tent seems to be holding up really well. We've had a few gusts of wind. The news says we're going to expect gusts up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. So we'll see. I know the power's been flickering here. So if that tent's waterproof, we're going to find out. So the wind is really picked up here. We're getting some gusts. That tent's holding up pretty well. Flapping a little bit. That was the door to my porch. The wind is blowing my front door wide open and slamming it. Probably doesn't translate real well with the camera, but we are getting some pretty good wind gusts, and that tent isn't hardly budging at all, so I'm pretty impressed with that. Best gust of wind we've had for a bit. Rain's let up a bit. Tent's still holding strong. So most of the rain has died down. I don't know if it's the eye of the storm or if things are just starting to quiet down and the storm is moving off to the north. But the tent seems to have done pretty well. It is supposed to rain intermittently throughout the evening, so I'm going to leave it up tonight. That way it'll be out here for a full 24 hours in the rain and the storm and the wind. And we'll see how it looks in the morning on the inside. So Tropical Storm Isaias has parted ways with us. And this is what the Passage 1 looks like after. We had a lot of heavy rain and pretty good wind last night. I don't know if it got up to 30-mile-an-hour gusts like they said, but I'm sure it was at least in the 20s. So, with no further ado, let's go inside and see how it did. One thing I didn't do was I didn't open that roof vent. I left that thing closed. I didn't trust that thing so well. Oh, a couple drops from there, but that's coming in from the rainfly. And inside, okay, we've got a little bit of water in that back corner, as you can see. I don't know where that came in, and it looks like it is puddled a little bit back there in that corner. So there's some water. Everything else looks really dry. So one little tiny leak. I don't know, maybe the rain fly needs to be seam sealed a little bit. I'll have to investigate over there in that corner later on. So there it is. Hurricane force winds, heavy rain, a little bit of water. Okay guys, so I figured I'd conclude the video today. Tent did pretty good against Hurricane Isaias. There was a little leak when I took the tent apart and inspected it a little bit further. I suspect that the water came in because of that roof vent. I think some of the wind probably blew it back into that roof vent. It followed the pole down to the first junction and it leaked down into the tent. They're double tape seams. I looked really close at all of it and nothing appeared to have a hole in it or be leaking, so it's just a guess, but I think that's where the water came in. It actually blew up in through that roof vent. Like I said, we had 25-30 mile an hour winds and gusts. The tent held up remarkably well for being as tall as it was and the flat sides that it has, but it barely budged. One thing that did happen once I took the tent down, one of my one of my stakes totally bent. You know, they're just little cheap steel stakes. You know, it's going to happen. Not a big deal. You just bend it back into place the next time we use it. But that's a testament to the kind of wind we had. So the other thing I wanted to mention, which I forgot to mention before, was the tent itself. The bag that it comes in is huge. There's more than enough room to fit the tent in there. You know, some tents you buy, you got to be a magician to pack it back up to make it fit in the carry sack that it came in. Not this one. I mean, it's actually can pack down a heck of a lot smaller than the actual carry sack, stuff sack, if you will. And everything fits in there really nicely. The poles, you know, the stakes, all of it. There's plenty of room. I don't know, you could fit a few other things in there, maybe a pillow, camp pillow, you know, keep everything consolidated. I mean, I could even fit my mat in there. I have a big Agnes mat, and I have no doubt in my mind that would all fit in there, so your whole sleep system could fit in this tent. I really like it. I do really like it. As far as the pros and cons go, the pros to me about this tent is, one, it's affordable. At the date of this video, the thing cost me 140 bucks. That's nothing in today's world of backpacking tents. It's nothing to spend $300-400 on a decent lightweight tent. To speak to that, this also is a pretty light tent. They have it listed here as 3 pounds 11 ounces, and they were pretty close. It actually came in a little under that. If you got rid of those cheap steel stakes and got some decent aluminum ones, you'd shave a few ounces there too. The other thing I really like about this tent is that it's freestanding. Normally I'm in teepee tents in the wintertime, or in the summertime I'm under a tarp, and you know, I tie knots, and that's great. But believe it or not, I bought this tent to use as a four-season, actually as a winter tent. Many times I get to my campsite, I'm cold, I'm sweaty, I got to get changed so I don't catch hypothermia. I want something I can set up quickly, that's freestanding, I can get in and out of the weather. And as you know, for those of you that have done winter camping in the past, to stake a tent down in the winter, it actually takes a few minutes. You have to stake it in, and then you have to pack it in and let the snow pack up tight around it, which takes time. With a freestanding tent, boom, it's up. So I do like that. And it's fast. That's the other pro. It's fast. You can set the thing up in minutes, as opposed to a teepee tent where you got to put it up and adjust it and all that. And don't get me wrong, I love those. I love my hot tenting, but speed, this all the way. The other thing is, it's roomy. There's tons of room in it. Granted, I'm only 5'8", that probably plays into it, but somebody 6 foot tall, they would have more than enough room. I wouldn't, if you were more than 6 foot, you might want to think about something different. And then finally, my last pro for this tent, I would say, is that it's multifunctional. You know, you can ditch the main body of the tent, and you can set it up with just the rain fly and the poles. So if bugs aren't an issue, you've got an even lighter setup, you know, because it's got the integrated ground cloth that comes with it. I really like that too. Now let's get to the bad part, the cons. The cons of this tent, I really don't like where they put the roof vent in it. It's way too close to the peak of the tent. I think it's advantageous to let water in. I wish they had dropped it down maybe 8 inches or so, just a little bit, just to get over the crown of that tent to help keep water from blowing back in. The other thing I don't like about it is the stakes. You know, they're these little chintzy steel stakes. They're heavy. They bend. Nice thing is they're steel. They bend. You can just bend them back. But you know, it probably has something to do with the price point. For 140 bucks, you're not going to get the top of the line stuff. You know, but it also didn't come with enough stakes to stake out the entire tent. They needed 4 more, and I don't think 4 more steel stakes would have broke their bank. You know, sell the tent for 150 bucks and give us all the stakes we need. But other than that, I love this little tent. If you like this kind of mini review It's not really a review. I'm just a regular guy that I'm showing you the kit that I use and what works for me. And I know if you're out there and you're interested in buying this tent, it's fun to peruse the YouTube and see what other people think about it, and that's purely all I'm doing here. So, but if you do like this review and you want to see more, I can do some more of the rest of my other kit and share that with you. I'd love to do that. So have a good time, and I'll see you out there.